Hello, it's me, Thick Basolo, and I'm doing a review and my criticisms with National Treasure, the one on Disney Plus, the show. It was so many notes and very little details. I have made a whole sheet. So hopefully I don't bore you. Hopefully you don't see me focusing on reading, and hopefully this will be a little bit fun, and we'll see what happens from it. Overall, I feel like there was a lot of lazy writing, and I feel like they just Google search a lot of random stuff, even though it may not be historically accurate. Even though there was a possibility of doing it historically accurate, which is a whole different. So it starts with the conquest of the Mexica, and they had Aztec gold and these three treasure boxes that was supposed to go to Aztec, Maya, and Inca, but they don't go to those other regions. They only stay here in North America. So I thought that was kind of weird. Like if they're supposed to be for the three regions, why just Mexico City all the way to the southwest? I just thought it was kind of weird. Well, southeast as well, Georgia, but at the end. But that's a whole different story. The intro song reminds me of Mystery Cities of Gold, along with Victor and Valentino and the National Treasure theme. Mystery City of Gold, for those who don't know, is about the Spaniards come to the New World, and these kids join forces to find the Mystery Cities of Gold before the Spaniards would. And that's what it kind of reminded me. um, and then the gold story, well, it's a mix between, I don't know if you ever heard of this Cuauhtemoc Gold story. Like I always heard it as a kid. So to me, I always thought it was just kind of those funny stories where people always talk about gold, and then they never find it. Um, but yeah, I always thought that was just funny and weird. I'm like, and then they went with that weird conspiracy group. I always forget the name of it, but they have those. Supposedly, have all these tablets that will find the gold, um, Cuauhtemoc's gold. I always forget the name of the conspiracy theory, but it's kind of based on that too, which I think is funny. And then the unboxing's kind of weird. Number one, they had to face the boxes north, even though um, Quetzalcoatl was west. Um, so that was just kind of weird. They had to do that direction, and then the girl had to unlock it, doing the dumb. I don't know what the hell she was doing, but it was just like, oh right, it's grass and this and that, and I'm like, what the hell? That doesn't make any sense. Um, it was just kind of weird. And then on top of that, it just seems kind of Alex Jonesy the way they went with this story and history. Like, what I'm gonna say, you might as well pretend I'm Alex Jones wearing an aluminum foil hat for this part. I have to read this because I forget how weird it is. So I do pardon. I'm gonna put the paper right here. So when the plot of the history starts with the conquest, and they changed the story that Malinche was a spy who gave orders to women to hide the history and treasures and the boxes. I just think it's kind of weird for that to happen, since she wasn't a Quetzalcoatl follower, and technically there was one woman they could have used that technically could have been, but that's a different story. So anyway, they went with Sacagawea, kept the secret and passed it to York, who then gave the info to Elvis's great great grandmother, who helped the descendants of that order. Elvis knew about it. The other box is at the Alamo, Mexico. Since the daughters of the Plume Serpent hid it there, it was moved and went to Sor Juana, and was a daughter of the Plume Serpent herself. So Sor Juana was a female nun, very educated. Another historical person that could have had that was now a descent, who was a nun, kind of worked there, but and that's me going off topic here. I was thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know where they get these ideas. Another weird thing is they use the conch shell symbol on everything, even though it's supposed to be for a belt, which I always thought that's kind of weird. Like Quetzalcoatl wears it as a belt, but then they made it earrings, a necklace, someone holds it as a hand, even though that's not how it is when you find it in history. So that was the weirdest thing as well. Show that has Nawat, they really avoid it. Instead of saying the daughters of Quetzalcoatl or anything like that, they just say daughters of the plumed serpent. And instead of saying Tlahtecutli, they use Earth Mother, which I think is just kind of weird. I'm like, we could use the Nahuatl words for them, but they avoid it like the plague. I don't know how else to describe it. Just it's kind of funny. And then you have Catherine Zeta-Jones. She butchers Iztaccíhuatl. I don't know how she pronounces it. It was just so weird. Like I had to put the subtitles on it, and I'm like, oh, Iztaccíhuatl. And I don't know how she said it. It's Izazisa or I don't know how she said it. I was like, I did not understand. Another weird issue I have with it is they make archaeologists, historians claiming that Malinche is a traitor, but I have never heard it. I've been around experts around my whole life, so they usually just say it's a circumstance of history. No one's really good or bad. It just depends on who's writing the story of this history. And so to me, I just thought it was just weird how they were like, oh yeah, Malinche's a traitor, this and that. I'm like, do you know that's not how historians see it like that? I thought the Ninth episode was pretty good. Didn't have anything historical. It just had them trying to go to the secret city. And then the final episode gets weird. It becomes Legend of the Hidden Temple. I don't know how else to describe it. All it was missing was Olmec, the giant, the giant head from Legends of the Hidden Temple. Olmec, that's all I needed, because they would do puzzles, had to jump on things, had to climb on things. It seemed like that show. I just thought it was funny. I'm like, you had a good 9th episode, didn't have any historical context, nothing, and then you just screw it up with this episode. The end credits, I think, is weird, because to me it just feels like they just copied the song for Babe Ruth's The Mexican. Like if you listen to it, it's almost like the same beat. It's just a guitar without the other instruments, so it just sounds kind of weird, like do 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 do. Like it sounds like The Mexican. Like I don't know how else to describe that end credit song, but that's The Mexican, and you didn't want to credit Babe Ruth for it. Overall, I thought the show was okay. Final episode needed work. I don't know. It just felt like they kind of rushed it, and then they just kind of went low budget on it with the Legend of the Hidden Temple stuff. I don't know what was going on there, but I thought it was interesting. Concept was good. I feel like they just needed people who do more research. Like I have an idea that it could be more accurate. There's a lot of what ifs on this thing. Even like I'm saying, a good example would be, Isabel Moctezuma. She was the daughter of Moctezuma, closest gets to a follower of Quetzalcoatl. Her lineage, after the conquest, pretty much she tricked the Spaniards to pay her and her female descendants money, so that way they didn't have to get married or have rely on a man or stuff like that. You had these pensions, and it went from after the conquest all the way to before the Mexican Revolution. And so you have this lineage of women who pretty much did whatever they wanted. Saying some turned to nuns, some just kept lands and territories, some became politicians. I don't know what else more you want from something that'd be more interesting. And then on top of that, there was this codex I tried to say, because it was on a public auction of Codex Chimalpalin, not to be confused with the other Codex Chimalpalin, but this other one that had it was a pretty interesting codex. It's a mix between Chimalpalin, Sochit, I think is his name. I'm trying to remember. And it has a lot of documents, including court documents of Isabel trying to get all these court document stuff. And then on top of that, you could have used when the Spaniards were moving a lot of Nahuas throughout the Southwest. Could have used that as well. There was a lot of women married either to other Nahua warriors or to the Spaniards, and you could have that order go that way. But I don't know. They just did their own thing for this, and it just seems like you do know there's a lot of historical stuff you could have used. But I don't know. It just seemed like they got kind of super lazy, Googled random people's names and stuff like that. And like, oh, what could be this and that? Even though there's a lot of historical stuff, and there could have been also some documents and images. Like there's one I love that would have been kind of cool. The Virgen de la Macana. So it's this Virgin Mary who has a Macana in her hand, from New Mexico, and you look in the background of that image and you see the Pueblo revolt. Pretty much just a lot of intense stuff, and they could have done some cool stuff like that to educate and be like, oh, there's all this cool stuff from Nahuas that people don't know about, that they try to keep secret or try to have things historical context, but I don't know. They just went their own thing. If you guys have any questions or want more details on anything I said, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. I'll do my best to answer. If it's a lot of details, I'll probably do a video. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.